A couple of people have asked why I keep harping on the insanity of the far left. Here's why. From PJ Media. Segregation at Comic-Con. No straight white males allowed at parties. A bunch of different people sent me this PJ Media article about the Emerald City Comic Con. What the con did was host a series of mixers for various groups. This usually happens at conventions, but Emerald City had a twist. The mixers were identity specific. There was one for industry women and genderqueer people, one for industry LGBTQIA+MNOP plus asterisk up down left right hold A and press start, and one for industry people of color. What does this have to do with creating and enjoying comics? Nothing. It does have everything to do with controlling the comic community, which is what these people are really about. There's nothing inclusive about these mixers, and the reason is simple. If you don't belong to the identified group, you can't go to the mixer. While the, quote, logic behind this is to give, quote, a safe space for so-called marginalized groups to have a voice, the truth is that it's just a way of tearing apart the community from the inside out. It creates divisions, and those divisions eventually result in resentment. That resentment leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads to some shitty prequels that could have been told better. The far left will howl about how they're not trying to take away anyone's hobby or kick anybody out, but I can't think of a single example in the 10 conventions that I've gone to where there's ever been any white only, straight only, male only, or any combination of those only official gathering. I've never seen anything like this before, except in places controlled by the far left. So Megan Fox, the author of the PJ Media article, got a source who's going to the convention. They asked to remain anonymous for obvious reasons. They said, quote, I'm disappointed that they chose to be divisive in an industry that has seen enough divisiveness as it is. We are not our race or gender or sexuality. Aren't we the sum of our parts? Or as MLK noted so famously, isn't it the content of our character that should be what counts? Well, according to the far left, MLK was a bigot because he didn't include GLBT, genderqueer, questioning, pansexual, polyamorous, otherkin. The whole point of a comic convention is for comic geeks to go and buy comics, meet creators, and hang out with other geeks. That's it. It's not about playing politics. But this is what happens when you let the far left ideologues take over. This is why the moment you hear any of them chiming in with anything that remotely sounds like identity politics, you shut that shit down. This started with the booth babes and the cosplay is not consent nonsense, and now look where it got us. According to Megan Fox, PJ Media reached out to Emerald City Comic Con for a comment and received no answer. Well, they didn't get an answer, but author John Della Rose did. He was recently banned from Worldcon, a sci-fi convention, for being conservative. They say he was going to, hadn't yet, but was going to, break some rules at the con, so they preemptively acted by banning him. It's cause he's conservative. That he's Hispanic doesn't matter. He's not the right kind of Hispanic, what with all that thinking for himself and supporting different politics. So Della Rose contacted the Emerald City Comic Con. He asked, quote, so, if I'm white, cis, and male, where can I go for an industry mixer? 15 minutes go by, and he says, no response? Seriously? Is there an industry mixer for me? Another 10 minutes go by, and then someone says, hi there. We do not have a specific industry mixer for your category this year. No. Get the fuck out. Really? You don't have one for straight white men? Really? Really? John asked if they would have one next year, and they didn't reply. This is what we've gotten to. Industry mixers that exclude the majority of comic book creators. The irony, of course, is that since most creators are straight white men, those are the people you'd want to mix it up with to get your foot in the door. They're the ones with the connections. But no. Why show actual inclusivity and diversity by inviting everyone to a mixer when you can have an identity-specific mixer so you don't have to deal with the goyim? You can't make this up. Not in your wildest dreams could you come up with something this fucking retarded. This is going to collapse the community. No community can survive if it's divided along these ever-growing lines. If everybody's got their special group, then they're not going to work together, and their interests will be so different that there won't be any overlap. Worse, if everyone but a specific group of people can have so isolated divisions, then that excluded group will resent this and act on it. This might not be a problem if the group were small, but it's not. It's the majority of the community. So when you're telling some 19-year-old white dude that he's scum, he's not going to want to go to conventions or read comics, and he's going to resent the people making him feel like garbage just because he wanted to hang out with like-minded people. Honestly though, that's the goal. These far-left folks could never build this kind of welcoming community. They literally can't do it because the divisions pop up immediately. So they end up hating anyone who can create that real inclusivity, and they seek to control it so that they can destroy it. There is no desire by any of these folks to improve the comic community. All they want is a little bit of power. So if you're headed to Emerald City Comic Con, just remember, if you're straight, white, and male, they really don't want you there. But what do I know? I'm just some guy.